Hello everybody, it's your pal GraciousEva here, and today we're going to talk about how to make your own OC. Here are the things we'll go over. With that, let's get started. So I'm sure you all know what an OC is, but if you don't, OC stands for Original Character, which is a character that you have created. For example, this is my OC, Haiku. So where do you get started with making an original character? Well, you have to think about some things that you want for your characters, like who are they, what kind of personality do they have, where did they come from, if you want to make a story for them, and more stuff like that. I often will spend more time just thinking about my characters than anything, but it's a good way to get to know them better. Now you'll want to start designing your OC. It's always a good idea to draw a rough sheet for your characters, especially if they're going to be in a comic or animation, so that way you'll always draw them consistently. If you're going to draw them like one time, it's going to be like a one-time thing, then you don't have to worry about that. It's always a good idea to look up references when you're drawing your character for the first time. It's a good idea to draw like with references in general, but yeah, especially for making characters. I use Pinterest for references. You can look up references for the clothes, hair, and even color palette. Now, I don't mean to just look up a picture of a cool outfit and copy that. What I like to do is find a bunch of pictures of cool outfits and then take my favorite elements from each one and incorporate them into a design. Another thing to keep in mind is that if they're going to be in a story. If so, then you'll have to figure out what kind of world they live in and how they would fit in it. What I mean is, if your world is inspired by a Japanese culture, look up pictures of Japanese clothing and hairstyles to use as references. If it's a fantasy Japanese world, then you can add other things as well, like fantasy clothing and hair. But still try to keep it all in the same element. Another factor to keep in mind is their job or occupation. For example, yes, we're using Haiku again, is kind of a professional hero/fighter, so I redesigned her to look more like a fighter. I also gave her a second design, which is like her work outfit when she's on the job. As you can see, she also is a fantasy character, so I keep that in mind when designing her as well. Also keep in mind that you'll probably want to redesign your characters. That's totally fine, especially if it's an older character that you've had for a while and now want them to have their own story. If you want to put them in a story you're working on, you'll probably have to redesign them. If your character, however, is just a character you want to draw a lot or it's just for fun, then you don't have to look up all of that, but it's still good to look up references. Like here's one of my characters, Lota. She doesn't have a story and I don't plan on giving her one, but I like to draw her for pictures, so I had to look up references for her. And she's inspired by Lolita fashion, so I had to look up a bunch of references of that. And she's always wearing something different, so I pretty much have to use references for every time I draw her. If you do plan on writing a backstory for your character, that can affect the design and personality of them. If they have a scar, their backstory might include why they have a scar. Or if they have a missing arm, or if they're an orphan, the backstory might explain all of that. Of course, not all backstories have to be dark, but these are just some examples. Don't forget to give your character a personality as well. Haiku is a heroic, bubbly character, but she also has a temper and can get mad at stuff pretty easily. She's also pretty tough and will use her fists before anything else. You can express these things about your character by using shapes and poses. Using shapes for your character's design is very important, as it can tell the viewer who they are and what role they play. Circles are used for more friendly, bubbly characters. Squares are used for more strong and tough characters, and triangles are used for more villainy and unpredictable characters. Shapes can also lead to a good silhouette. For Haiku, yes, we're using her again, I used a lot more triangles and squares. Poses can also be used to express personality. Haiku is always in these poses like she's ready for a fight, which is basically what her personality is. If you have a shyer character, you could put them in a more timid pose. Or if they're bubbly, try putting them in a pose that makes them look excited. Oh, phew, that's all we're going to go over today. I don't know how long this video is going to end up being. Probably not that long, actually. It just took me a while to write this script and record this, but it probably won't end up being too long, but that's okay. But I hope that you have enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and maybe subscribe on your way out. I'll see you in the next